Hello flight simmers, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another full flight video today in the PMDG 747 freighter version. We are going to check out the new Drzewiecki design Tokyo Narita scenery today, and we will do this with a serious long haul. Today we are on a about 10-hour flight in this cargo 747 from San Francisco over to Tokyo. We are parked here, let me quickly show you that, right next to the bay, which is kind of cool. I don't know that many airports where you can park a 747 just next to the ocean, pretty much. So that's kind of cool. And also regarding the flight a bit. So yeah, that's the livery. I know it's not the most exciting livery, all white. But this has very good reasons. So the thing is, Nippon Cargo Airways, which now operates a fleet of 747-8 freighters, they have outsourced their 747-400 fleet to Atlas Air. And we can already read this here, Atlas Air. And now what they do is they have an American registry, these aircrafts, but they are flying pretty much for Nippon Cargo Airways. That's why this flight always has also has a Nippon Cargo flight number. And they have outsourced their, I think it was 4 freighters, which they also sold over to Atlas Air, and now they entered into sort of co-sharing wet lease agreements. So these aircrafts are operated by Atlas Air crew, but most of the time they fly for Nippon Cargo, but sometimes they also have Atlas Air flight numbers, so they operate their own flights with these aircraft. Quite an interesting agreement, I think, and the aircraft itself is not too old, only 13 years, which is not that much for a 747, I would assume. And yes, so that's the setup for today, and I think it should be a pretty cool flight over. I mean, it's 10 hours cruising over the waters, so that will not be too exciting, but we have a very, very nice autumn morning here in San Francisco. Weather, yeah, perfectly clear skies, 20 degrees Celsius, so nice and warm as well. And we are of course pretty heavy for this long flight. Will be a nice takeoff, and then let's see what we get when we get over to Japan. Okay, and I can see that GSX currently putting the last bit of cargo in here. And let's head into the flight deck and set up. So here we are, and also I'd briefly like to mention that Atlas Air has this pretty cool call sign of Giant. So today we're gonna fly Giant 7109. Pretty cool flight number or call sign. Alright, so IRSs are aligned, that's perfect. I've loaded up the aircraft already. Today we are of course operating in pounds. We have a zero fuel weight of 538,000 pounds. And then I can quickly show you over here. And we have fuel, let's go to fuel, 284,000 pounds, and all in all we have a gross weight of 822, and maximum takeoff weight would be 850, so we are pretty close to it, not totally at max takeoff weight, but nevertheless quite heavy today. So we will need quite a bit of power here for the takeoff roll. Okay, back to init. Yeah, I think that's actually no, let's start over here. Okay, yeah, of course we are back in the PMDG. We need to do the D-Link. Totally forgot about that. So we will quickly enter the data, San Francisco. And then Narita Airport will be RJAA. Time of departure is 16:55, which I believe is 9:55 morning time here in San Francisco. Time en route will be 10 hours and 9 minutes. And then the airline ID, that's a 2-letter code, which is 5 Yankee. And then the flight ID will be the GTI, so Giant 7109. So this is actually carrying the giant flight ID, so to say, but technically we are on a Nippon cargo flight. We can connect that, and this shouldn't take too long now. And now if we go back to the FMC and go route select, no, let's rather request it this way. And these speed brakes level is always here, kind of annoying today. Don't know why. From San Francisco to RJAA, and then we can send off the request. Yes, 4,564 nautical miles. Request is sending, perfect. Alright, we can load that in. And I hope this will work. Yes, that looks good. Now we have 5 pages of route data, which makes sense. So we can activate this, perfect. Then performance. So we will have reserves of 27,000 pounds. Alternate, by the way, will be Nagoya. And gross weight, it should come up automatically actually. There we are, 822. That's perfect. Cost index will be 80. And initial cruise level 300. We will start up kind of low here and then see where we want to climb later on. I think this can go to 2000. Alrighty, in terms of departure, we are going out of 280 right, and we are on the gunner departure with transition at Alcoa, like that, and that's quite simple. We can already sort of see it on here. We are just climbing out, and when we meet 820 feet, we are technically allowed to do the first turn, but however, that's just straight onto gunner, and then from gunner onto the first waypoint. Pretty straightforward. Just straight out over the ocean. Alright, wind data, let's see here, progress. Route data, load. So this figure should come down significantly now, or not too much actually. Okay, that's not a lot. Why is it? It's still a lot of fuel on board when we get there. That's a crazy amount of fuel when we get there, so you know what, I kind of want to carry a little bit less fuel in it. So let's maybe, if we take down 20 tons, sorry, 20,000 pounds, that's still enough. So let's go 6, 4, 2, 2, 2. It's still plenty, 255. Okay, sorry for the back and forth, guys. I've now decided to go with 250,000 pounds, and this will put us at 32 roughly, and I think that's plenty. Before that, it was really too much. So now we need to go back to performance and update those figures like that. And legs should still be fine. I need to close the doors any second now, otherwise it gets too annoying here. Departure stays the same. Winds are also loaded in. Perfect. Now let's quickly close some doors. Close all, quite simply. Okay, VNAV transition, of course, 18,000 in the US. That's fine. And now we just need to set these speeds. And today I've done some calculations using this little tool here, a freeware tool which I found on FSIM. And so I've just entered the takeoff data, and it gives us a flap 10 takeoff with selector temperature 27, and we will just go with that, and hopefully that works out fine. So selector temperature 27 and takeoff, and then flaps 10. This can stay as it is. It's dry. It's perfect. And center of gravity. Sweet, so we have speed of 180 and plus 10 makes 190, that goes in here. The initial heading is 284 out of that runway. And then initial climb is 5,000. Alright, flight directors, LNAV, VNAV, perfect. Let's go ahead and fire up this APU. And then soon we will be good to go out of this position. Okay, nose cargo is still open. Let's close that. And it technically should be working. No, I still have the loader. Of course, sorry, nose cargo release. And now we should be able to close it. Closing, perfect. Okay, so nose cargo door is closing. All the other doors should be closed already, and then we can soon ask for a pushback, and then we will taxi out. This, yes, all the doors are closed. We will taxi out this rather cool taxiway, sort of going in turns over there, and then will be a bit of a taxi all the way down to the runway, which is all the way down there. Yeah, so that will take up a bit of time. And we can quickly complete some checklists. So the pre-flight checklist, oxygen is tested 100%, flight instruments 057, 057, and altimeters of 2985, 2985. Parking brake is set, and fuel control switches are all cut off. Perfect. So as soon as the APU is running, which is the case now, and let's put those pegs to work as well. And then we can get rid of the ground connections and ask for a pushback. Like this. And here we go. Pushback, please. And then this goes to aux. And let's double check all these settings on here. All the fuel controls go on. I'm quite sure we have some fuel in the center tank. Window beats can come on. Beacons, of course. And the rest is looking fine. Okay, and before start checklist, flight deck door, closed and locked, passenger signs. Never know if there are a few people on here. So let's put the seatbelt signs on. MCP is set, takeoff speeds, we have completed those. CDO pre-flight is completed, trim is free at 0 units. Taxi and takeoff briefing, yeah, we have sort of done both, and beacons are on. Before start checklist is completed. Okay, let's put on those VORs. Like that. And now, what's the current time? 17:13. So we are sort of 15 minutes late, but I mean, on cargo flight, it happens all the time. It's not a big of a deal.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
Okay, brakes go off, and we will start the block time.
All engines clear. Start at will.
And we are cleared to fire up those engines. And that's what we will do straight away. So pegs come off, continuous ignition, and then we will start engines 3 and 4 both. And let's put this to engine page. Looking good, and now I'm just remembering, I'm not sure if we have auto start on this aircraft, so maybe I shouldn't have put on the fuel control switches right away. But never mind. Engines are firing up, so can't be that wrong. I don't know what you guys think about it, but it feels like this all-white aircraft doesn't even look too bad after all. Kind of has something special. Okay, so engines 2 and 3 are running, and what I will do is I will fire up number 1.
Set parking brakes.
Since recently I was made aware of the importance of fuel saving, and fuel saving in terms of not taxiing with all engines running, especially when landing, but also for takeoff. I think it makes sense. So that's what we will do. And then, as the engine also needs some time to warm up, we will start it somewhere down on the taxi. I'm not sure if there's like a particular engine on the 747 which you would leave off, but I think it would be either 2 or 3. So that's what we do as well.
Unlocking gear.
Okay, starter cutout. That's perfect.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass.
So this goes to auto, and this one can still stay off, and pegs go back on. And then we can shut down the APU like that. Okay, flaps 10. And takeoff trim 6.0. That's pretty much set. That's perfect.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Okay, flight controls. Full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and the rudder full left and full right, neutral. Okay, and I wonder if there's the temperature. Yeah, it's on here. So that's 85, 67. Okay, it seems like 85, 86. That's around the temperature where we want to have the engines for takeoff. So we need to start the other one in due time. And before taxi checklist, anti-ice is off. Recall. Yeah, just TCAS and the hydraulic system 2, that's fine. Auto brakes, RTO, flight controls, we have done them. Ground equipment is clear. Before taxi checklist is completed. Okay, GSX is gone. So taxi lights and releasing the parking brake. Okay, now we will taxi out of this rather cool parking position back here. And brakes are also working. Okay, also I want to have the traffic and the terrain on my side today, and then we can put traffic and weather over here. Yeah, so here we can see these S shapes. It's like going left and then right again, and then another left-hand turn. Pretty cool. And in fact, 748 aircrafts, the cargos which are parking back there, they are not allowed to taxi on their own. They are going to be towed in and out of this position. But here in the 747-400, we are still allowed to taxi on our own. But we should nevertheless make sure to really stay on the center line. Maybe I'm going a bit fast considering the heavy weight we have today. Okay, and now it's another left-hand turn here. It's like driving a car down a curvy road. Or bendy road rather. Okay, and then we will taxi all the way down here until we get to the very end. So the runway ends here, so we literally have to cover the entire length of the runway during our taxi. But let me do this next turn here, and then I will start a fast forward for you guys. Alright, so I meet you down in a bit, yeah, probably when we are down at the runway, since I'm going to start the next engine rather soon. So engine number 2 is also running now, that's good, and I'm just seeing AI traffic does use the other runways, which is a bit unrealistic for San Francisco procedures. So I will switch it off once we get down to the runway. Alright, and now we are almost there. We can complete the before takeoff checklist, which is just the flaps set at 10 checklist completed. Also, we will put on the transponder, although I have just put off the air traffic since I don't want to run into any aircrafts while we are on the takeoff run. That would be kind of bad. And yes, so we also don't have to worry about any incoming traffic. We can simply go straight on the runway.
Approaching 28 right.
Okay, let's get a nice line up here. And then let's see how this takeoff works. First time for me using this particular takeoff calculator, so it's gonna be either good or bad.
On runway 28 right.
Alright, that's our line up. Inbound landing lights, the inboard landing lights go on. Taxi lights can stay on, strobes, beacons. That's all on. I will put the packs off. It's not too hot outside, so this will save us some engine power as well. And on that note, let's go. So, starting the timer, about 50% of thrust. Okay, power is established. Toga. Let's check the temperature. Yeah, it's pretty much up there with the others. Should have checked it earlier though.
Airspeed alive.
Speed, and off we go. It's already 80 knots. Yeah, this should work out rather fine, I guess. Speeding up super nicely here.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate.
Me too.
About 10 degrees.
Positive rate of
And
climb.
we are airborne. Gears coming up. Oh, that's not too bad, is it? Awesome, leaving San Francisco. And yeah, so it seems like that was a perfect takeoff calculation. There was a bit of margin left, but not too much. And we already have low center fuel. 4.1, okay. Yeah, power coming back to climb thrust, flaps 5. flaps 1. And flaps up. Perfect. Let's put this autopilot on. Now we should see the flaps being retracted. There they are. And now we are banking away to the left. Okay, cool. And yeah, we are climbing really fast, so we have a pretty good climb rate here. Cool. All right, and now the after takeoff checklist landing gear is up and off, and flaps are up. Let's keep this climbing all the way to cruise. And taxi lights can come off. And packs go back to norm. I'm kind of wondering why we are climbing so fast. That's a crazy climb rate. Now we are leaving the San Francisco Bay Area behind. There we can have a beautiful view on the Golden Gate even. Today with the super clear skies, we have quite a nice view here. Alright guys, so that was pretty smooth. There's no other way to say it. And on that note, I hope you have enjoyed this takeoff, and I will get back to you in about 10 hours. A little bit less than that, and then we will hopefully have just as well a nice arrival into Tokyo. See you then. Hello folks, welcome back to the flight deck after pretty much 10 hours of flight time right now. I'm super happy that we are finally getting close to Tokyo. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was probably the most uneventful long-haul cruise I ever had. It's just all the time over the ocean, not a single bit of land in between. There was no traffic, no crazy weather during the way. Yeah, so it was just pretty straightforward, just dealing with the normal stuff like step climbs, fuel configs and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we are closing in. We're just passing 14,000, so this goes to local 1019er. And yes, what else? So at the end we have been cruising at flight level 380. The only thing that kind of kept me busy is the fuel. So as you can see, there's not even that much of fuel left in our tanks. We will get to Tokyo with 20.3 thousand pounds remaining, which is very little for a 747. In fact, it's even too little. It's even below our reserves. So technically, we would be in at least some sort of minor trouble here. The reason for that is, if you've watched the beginning of the video, I kind of changed the fuel load when setting up the flight. since we had a super high reading here. And then once we flew over the date border in the middle of the Pacific, then it changed completely. And now my only guess for that is that if you load in active sky historical weather data in the FMC, and then it only takes the weather from the same date. It does not take into effect that you're crossing the date border and you need the weather from another day. So that's my guess here, and definitely a lesson learned for me. Whenever we are flying across the Pacific, we will go with whatever fuel SimBrief gives us, and we don't mess around with it, since now we are basically too low, but we can of course still make it. Weather in Tokyo is luckily good, so we should be fine with a single shot on the approach. Speaking of which, we are on the Supok Echo arrival, which you can see here on this chart is the upper one, sort of the more direct one. We have just passed Supok, coming up to Ploki, and then it will drop us at Elgar, and at Elgar we can nicely see here on the arrival charts, I've never seen that before, that there's sort of the route painted in for the final arrival, and that's pretty cool. So we are going to land ILS runway 34 left, 34 left being the longer one of the two runways down at Tokyo Narita, and that should be a pretty easy landing really. We are on flaps 30. I've set auto brakes 2, and that's a bit stupid of the aircraft, since it tells me to set speed brakes at the same time it's speeding up, so that's a bit weird. Never mind, we are just passing 10,000, so inbound landing lights come on. Yes, we have enhanced atmospherics enabled. You can see this from the cloud textures. Somehow over the ocean it did not work at all. I didn't get any clouds from enhanced atmospherics, but I hope it works now for the arrival. And yes, weather is good. In fact, we can get another reading of the current weather. Active sky, Tokyo. Okay, so we have winds from 10 degrees at 4 knots, but variable 340 between 50. So it's only 4 knots of variable wind. That's not a lot. Very good visibility. Few clouds, 3,000. Scattered 18,000. We have seen that before. We are already below that. Altimeter is 1017. We need to update that. Like this. No significant change. And other than that, yeah, pretty good weather really. Temperature 21 degrees. In fact, it's quite similar weather as we had back in San Francisco. Alrighty, and now there's finally the first bit of land coming up. Has been a long time. Alrighty, what else? Descent checklist, I've completed that earlier. Approach checklist, that's just the altimeters, and those are also set. So that's done. Here at Tokyo Narita, they have parallel runway procedures. So it's possible that there will be some other aircraft landing on 34 right at the same time. And for that reason, you can see that here on the navigation display. Our missed approach procedure is we will climb to 1,000 feet and then do a very sharp left-hand turn and pretty much fly all the way back to Gumyo. And then we will keep climbing for a bit, I think finally to 6,000. Yes, 6,000, and then we will be holding way out over the ocean here. So it's a pretty big missed approach procedure, which we hopefully don't need today, but never know. And yes, I think what I will do, final approach course is 337, so I'm going to dial that in here. And flight slope interception will be 4,000. We will already be at 4,000 at Gina, which is this point right here. And then we will keep at 4,000 for a while. And from Gina on, it's still 15 miles to go, so it's a very long final approach. So that should be fine in terms of managing speed and descent rate and all that kind of stuff. Alrighty, currently I can't see any traffic on here, which is of course fine for us. traffic density is set to around 30%. I'm not sure how strict Japan is in terms of lockdown these days and air traffic in general. That looks like the airport is already loaded in back there. Pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm very excited. First look at the new Tokyo Narita scenery from Drzewiecki design. Of course, after I installed it, I checked it out briefly. It looks pretty cool. It's always kind of awesome to have a new high quality big airport loaded in. And I'm just seeing that now that at Algar we have already mandatory 4,000. So we will be holding at 4,000 for quite a bit here. They can of course do that here in Tokyo since the approach is over the ocean. I think overpopulated areas they would never have this kind of approach due to noise abatement stuff. Yeah, but here it is handled this way, so that's pretty convenient for us. And then there's no worries about speeding too much or being too high on the approach. So let me already arm those speed brakes. I'm quite sure we won't need them afterwards. And alright. Now we are pretty much just waiting to turn to Gina and then we'll put the localizer on. Should be a pretty straightforward approach. Alright, and now we are in fact closing on Gina. Now there is in fact one aircraft in front of us. I will monitor that and see if we need to do anything about it. And let's put the localizer on. And there's the airport still with black textures, but those will hopefully disappear as we get closer to the airfield. And yes, that's the localizer. And let's see, so now we are still 16 miles out. And the aircraft wants to decelerate further, so we're going to set flaps 1. And then let's put approach mode on and go flaps 5 as well. And then we should capture the Kaleidoscope any second now. And yes, this aircraft is too close from us, so I will need to do something about it. Now is it getting foggy? Nah, I think we're just heading into cloud, right? Okay, let's put all the landing lights on. And that's the glide slope. We are 12 miles out, so still a bit to fly. And this one will in fact go to 6,000. Alrighty. Looking good apart from this aircraft in front of us, which I can't even see anywhere. Ah, yeah, there it is. Okay, I think I will quickly get rid of this guy and then we can continue. Yes, now it's gone. Nice, okay, and flap 10. And usually, well, on most airports, I haven't checked on these charts just now, but usually we would now stay at 180 until we get to, I think we could drop back to 160, that should also be fine. Yeah, let's keep 160.
2500.
Until we are 4 miles from the runway, and then final approach will be 145 plus 5, so 150. Yeah, and on the ground there are really multiple taxiways which we could take, so plenty of options. Okay, so flap 20 and let's drop the gear. Alright, flaps full, and then we will go down to 150, and I will take the aircraft. Okay, so I need to manage the speed. I've been flying a lot of Airbus lately, so now it's a bit of a change to do the speed manually. Landing checklist, speed brakes are armed, landing gear is down, and flaps are 30. Green lights, landing checklist is completed. The only thing I'm just noticing, I haven't put on the seatbelt signs earlier, but that's kind of not too important right now.
Approaching. 3, 4, left.
Just a bit annoyed of these texture stuff again. Whenever there's not totally clear skies, then we get these sort of custom made trees standing out a lot. It's a bit annoying, but I hope you guys don't mind too much. Okay, apparently the glide slope is a bit off here. Continue, since it tells us we are really too low, but we are really not.
Glide slope, glide slope. Glide slope. 50, 30, 20.
Hey, we can't. And there we are. I reverse. Beautiful. Okay, that was a greaser. Not too bad. Okay, manual braking, idle forward. Yeah, that was a super soft landing. Kind of my better ones, I would say. Alrighty guys, so welcome down to Tokyo Narita scenery. And now will once again be a bit of taxiing ahead. Okay, flight time 10 hours and 16 minutes. Let's clean up a bit. Taxi lights go on, strobes go off. And I think we can take a right-hand turn here. Now there's barely any traffic here because I've just dialed it down before landing. Yeah, so that's the new scenery. The buildings look pretty stunning, super realistic. The ground, not too much, to be honest. I kind of prefer those sceneries where there are like proper tire markings on them and stuff like that, which is not really the case here. Okay, what else? Transponder goes off. And traffic and weather and traffic and terrain. VORs can come off, flight directors. And now will be a bit of taxi. Our parking position is in fact just behind this A380. And also I believe we can shut down one engine. We have learned the new procedures in San Francisco. Speed brakes are still up, by the way. Okay. So let's shut down number 3. We can also shut down number 2. We will have enough power to taxi, and then we can still taxi in a straight line. Kind of makes it a bit easier. Yes, so the gates look super nice actually. Pretty realistic jetways, pretty cool building, even glass building that we can see through. And what else? Auto brakes are apparently still on. Those two can come off, and now let's start the APU. And also we can turn 2 packs off. It's not too warm outside, 21 degrees. Yeah, now we get some warnings, but that's fine. Okay. Yeah, so the parking position will be 902. Now that's gonna be interesting to find. (902), there it is. Well, no idea. Let's just take the first one. Alrighty. And yes, the scenery comes with some static aircraft. Those are some of them. Some hangars modeled internally, which is kind of cool. And then also this ANA A380 in the special, I think they call it turtle livery or something like that. Since it's sort of a turtle painted on there. And they have this one, this blue one, they also have it in red, orange sort of style. And then I think even a third one. But not too sure on that. Okay, and there's finally a bit of traffic coming in. What do we have here? China Southern A330. Also some kind of special livery. So we will quite simply taxi all the way to the end, and then our gate is back there. Or not the gate, rather the cargo ramp. Okay, I think APU should be running. Let's put one of them on, since we need the other one for the doors. I'm kind of getting annoyed by the enhanced atmospheric stuff. Maybe I will switch back to the other weather mode for good. Then again, the cloud textures look much better on this one, so it's kind of a hard call to make. I think usually there would also be some more traffic back here at the cargo ramp, especially these days, as cargo routes are pretty busy. But it's kind of cool to come so close to that hangar. So it looks like it's a Dreamliner actually, and a 737, and then something back there. This might be a 767, but hard to tell from here. And that's the A380. There's even a Delta hangar in here. Cool. Alright, 902 coming up over there. Let's put the taxi lights off so we don't blind anyone on the ground. then let's see if we can get a decent parking here. It's always kind of hard to judge when to make the turn, since it is a super long aircraft after all. But I think that was not too bad after all. Okay, so let's see what kind of job Drzewiecki did on the GSX config. I kind of expect them these days to make a good config, but then again, not too sure about that. Okay, that was pretty spot on. So let's see, parking brakes, APU is running, 1 and 4 go off. Block time, 1 hour and 40 minutes. Quite a long flight. Okay, this will go to, I think, to aux for a second. I'm not too sure about this procedure actually. Beacons come off, all the fuel pumps come off. And then, yes, let's go to FS actions, ground connections, wheel chocks, request ground power, and then we can, yeah, now with the wheel chocks we can release the parking brake, and now this can come off finally. Cool, external power is there, so we'll connect one of them and APU comes off. Those can come back to norm. And then let's ask for some deboarding, or deloading rather. And then also doors. Open this one and open nose cargo and side cargo. Forward cargo, after cargo. And then D-link, ACARS, data link. So flight time 10:15 it says here. Back here we are 10:16, that's pretty close, and 10:40. Sweet, pretty long flight, but now we finally made it first time to Tokyo Narita Airport. Awesome stuff. Alrighty, so it looks like the marshaller has sent us just a tiny bit too far, but that's still okay, I would guess. And once again, welcome to Tokyo Narita Airport, guys. This was a cargo flight, and next time we will be at one of the passenger gates and check out how the terminal looks from closer on. Anyhow, I hope you have enjoyed this flight in the PMDG 747. Being quite honest with you, I now really kind of like the all-white livery. Kind of has something to it in my opinion. Okay, with that, feel free to like and subscribe or leave any comment below as always, and take care. See you next time.